If you thought we couldn't double down on another Wednesday stock report just because camp is over, don't think again. We've got another one ready for you right now. He is Birm. I am Austin. This is the Austin and Birm Show, and it is a Wednesday on the beat. And yes, we were going to talk about Austin Siereveld again.
Yeah.
But we don't have to.
You should let Austin Siereveld talk about Austin Siereveld.
I'm going to let Austin Siereveld talk to me, Austin Ward, about a dude of the week, Iron Buckeye, camp counselor, a busy June for one of the hardest working Buckeyes. So Birm will be here when we get back, and we'll talk to him then. Joined now in the Woody Hayes Athletic Center where Austin Siereveld, I think, lives. He has established residency here, national champion, offensive lineman, Iron Buckeye, and now a dude of the week and a camp counselor.
Yeah.
So Austin, I've seen a number of your teammates, maybe 10 to 15 Buckeyes have been for all 5 of these one-day camps, 7-on-7s. But you've been the only offensive lineman that's at every single one.
Yeah.
What's the motivation here? You
Yeah,
forced to be here or you want to be here?
So I'm working with an internship with Coach Mick, and part of it is working these camps. And then I run a drill, run some one-on-ones with the young guys, and just help coaching the guys and just help give back to when I was at camp here. And I think it was Josh Fryer helping out. He was like the one dude really helping out. So yeah.
Well, he's really passing on that legacy.
Yeah,
Somebody has to do it.
Yeah.
Well, so who's next for you? Who are you going to pass the torch to next summer?
Hopefully someone that comes in, a young guy, needs an internship. That'd be nice.
Is there something that you have particularly taken away from this experience that you didn't anticipate? Because, I mean, you guys have enough to do. Workouts, meetings, you're helping host visitors. Like, this is a busy month for you guys.
Yep.
And then it's 3 hours, sometimes in the sun. You're getting hit standing there being the quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, has it been more rewarding than you thought it would be?
Yeah, I mean, because like you give back to these kids, like these kids looked up to us as football players and also as people outside of football, and so just giving back to them, coaching them, just afterwards they're all coming up to me, thanks coach, thanks for teaching me, and like they want me like a follow it on Twitter. I'm like, I'll do all of that stuff.
So wait, they think you're a coach?
Yes, they come in. I'll be like, thanks coach, and then if they if they think I'm a coach, I'm like, nah, I'm just a player. But I'm just helping out.
I don't think you're allowed to contact those players like that. Has there been a different perspective? They're calling you coach. Have you felt the coaching side of it, the bug? Is there a drill that you've liked helping lead?
Yeah, so I was running the agility bags and just make sure, like, just teach the O-line, like see if they can move and bend and just see where they're at, and just because not all just O-lines, not all just drill work and just setting with a med ball on your knee. You got to learn how to run and do some laterals and some agility bags.
Have there been any of these 5-6 day camps that you've been a part of where you're just like, man, I had a workout at 6 a.m. I don't want to be out here anymore? I know that you guys constantly live here, and you love ball, but have there been any moments like, hey, just get me out of here?
I mean, yeah, I joke around with it, but like, I mean, it's fun being out here. Like, takes your mind off of football and just get back to all the kids.
Has there been a benefit to you? I know Coach Bowen has been here for 6 months. You know, spring ball's a really short period. I know that you guys, again, are around the Woody all the time, but it's a little bit of extra time for you to be around him. Has that helped? Have you found a different side of him? Yeah,
so like, I mean, I joke about it in the meeting room. I have a little page in my notebook that I write down quotes that he says. So there's a couple quotes from a couple of these camps I write down to my notebook. So yeah.
Oh, educational or humorous quotes? Which are we working?
Bit of both.
Okay.
Bit of both.
When I asked you about this in the spring, and I think you were trying to walk the line of being humble and accepting the accomplishment of the Iron Buckeye, and now you followed that up with some in the summer here with them doing the Dudes of the Week. You said, yeah, maybe you were surprised to hear your name called, but you knew you earned it in the winter. Is that the same deal right now? I mean, how have you continued to build that momentum for the workout side when you're done with the camps here?
Yeah, so I'm just building, for me as a player on and off field, leading, trying to get my voice, learn to be a great leader, and I'm just trying to push everyone around me.
When they hand out those awards, I know you know how hard you're working. When you get that reflected back to you with an award, what does that feel like?
I mean, it feels good. All your hard work paying off for dude of the week. You knew you had a good week, and the coaches recognize it and get called out in front of the team, and yeah, it's pretty cool.
Is there a thing that you're most trying to get accomplished physically this summer?
Yeah, hopefully get Iron Buckeye again this summer. It's a goal for mine, and me as a player just being more vocal as a leader. I came in as a quiet guy, and now I'm getting as summer going on, getting more voice out there.
Is there a specific target that's in mind for that? Like something that you think you have to do in the weight room to earn Iron Buckeye? I know that it's about the work ethic as a whole, but is there something mixed like, well, we want to be this body fat, this weight, this bench rep?
Yeah, there's a lot of numbers in the weight room. There's a lot like a lot of different things we got to keep on track and like be on elite level, and yeah, pretty much anything you do.
So you said you're trying to find your voice. You've basically gone through 2.5 years here and done, I think, one episode of The Notebook with me, one maybe press conference in the spring. Like you've been under the radar, out of the spotlight. Are you ready for what's coming? Coach Day said at the end of spring, you are a starter. And the responsibilities that come with that are a lot more of this.
Yeah.
Are you ready for that part?
Yeah. We have a great mindset. This is all the perks that comes with starting an O-line here. So yeah, I'm ready.
Perks. All right. I like the sound of that. All right. Well, you're done with camp.
Yep.
So you just got a lot more free time now, right? It's easy.
Yeah. I still
got summer.
I got like a lot more hours to do with Coach Mick and finish up the internship. And I think there's a 7-on-7 camp tomorrow that I got to work. Well, that's fun. Chill.
So around the 4th, right? 4th of July, there are some days off.
Yeah.
Do you have big plans for that?
Yeah, I do got some plans.
Okay. You going to share them, or that's the secret of the pros?
It's a little secret.
Okay.
I'm trying to get away.
Will you actually be able to turn off the football side, the workout side for a vacation?
Maybe for a couple of days, not the whole week.
All right. That sounds about right. Well, you have some time. I don't need to take any more of it. I appreciate Austin Siereveld jumping on us on the beat real quick. Congrats on all the hard work so far.
Yep.
And as you said, a long way to go.
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks again to Austin Siereveld, a starting offensive lineman for Ohio State. I don't know what else there is to say about him.
No, I mean, again, we have beaten
There's nothing new out there.
the horse.
But he is a dude of the week. And I really like the fact that Ohio State is publicizing this summer.
I like that it's a reminder that there is a consistency in the program. And when you see the same guys popping up that are the Iron Buckeyes, that are the dudes of the week, like it's a reminder for people that if you're at a place like Ohio State and your goal is to be the man, like you have to bring it every single day. And that's how a player like Austin Siereveld goes from being an afterthought in a recruiting class 3 years ago to being an indispensable, absolutely remarkably valuable piece of a national championship football team as they try to repeat. Like that is, I think it gets taken for granted because you just assume like every player at Ohio State is good. We get it. But the difference between what separates a good player from an Ohio State starter and a potential all Big Ten type talent and a potential All-American and a captain and all the other stuff is the stuff that we don't ever get to see. Everyone knows the guys on the field are good, but it's the stuff that really happens daily that we're not privy to. I mean, we're privy to it more than most because we get to hang out around the building. But for the people that are like, hey, where did this Siereveld guy come from? Like, it is a slow burn. And I think, it's 2025.
No, it hasn't been that slow. I think it's ahead of schedule.
So it's 2025, and we certainly don't need to think about the good old days of how football used to be. But we didn't, before the internet existed, you didn't know. There was no way to be like, oh, this guy's putting in all the work in April and May and June, and now we know. And Austin Siereveld is a prime example of just the type of people you have to have in your program to have a successful program.
Do you think there is any part of your brain that thinks, well, 6 months ago we said, this is incredibly important for Ohio State that Austin Siereveld is back because he can play guard or tackle and he can be the most valuable sixth man in college football? Because the conversation has swung dramatically towards, I personally believe he's going to start at right tackle. Now, he can still play guard. There is still positional flexibility. But in my mind, it's like I don't even really consider an option that Philip Daniels is going to reclaim a job that we presumed in January or February that he was brought out of the transfer portal to claim. And that's not a knock on him. It's all been a pro-Austin Siereveld reflection of the good work, great work, relentless work that he's been doing. Do you think there's any part of the 6 month ago conversation that nags at you at all?
I mean, you don't know what you don't know. You can't really assume that people are going to take the opportunity that's in front of them and run away with it. But Austin Sierreveld's done it. I think that there is, as you mentioned, the flexibility that he provides is still pretty darn important for the Ohio State offensive line and for Philip Daniels specifically. But part of it also is we're now entering, and it's crazy to suggest, and it's probably too early to suggest it, but this is year 3 for Austin Siereveld. He's going to be a starter at Ohio State. So the conversation now, if you're a starting offensive lineman at Ohio State, and he'll now be a starting offensive lineman for essentially 2 years because he was in some ways, a de facto starter throughout the whole year last year. 2 years as a starter at Ohio State on the offensive line. Now the conversation is this his last year at Ohio State?
Oh, so you're not thinking about 6 months ago. You're fast forwarding to the draft.
Now, because I think the thing that happens is when you bring in a guy like Philip Daniels, and the presumption was that he was going to be the starting right tackle and Austin Siereveld was going to be your swing guy. We have to remember that Philip Daniels has played 4 games of college football, and he did it at Minnesota, and it was fine, but it's not like he's a ready-made, walk in the door, every other option is unavailable, and this kid is so much better than what you have. So, I think it's better for the program. It's better for Austin. It's better for Tyler Bowen year 1 to have that ace in the hole now that Austin Siereveld is, and it takes some of the pressure away from Philip Daniels, and there's going to be conversation anytime the media, the national media talks about, this is Paris Johnson's cousin. There's this. Now you don't have to thrust somebody into a conversation that he may be ready for, but we don't know. But it's certainly, I think, a lot. You can breathe easier if you're Tyler Bowen and Ryan Day and say, okay, well, Austin's got this part, and then we can work on the rest.
So it's not a surprise then that Jeremiah Smith, again, gets a dude of the week. They could probably give it to him every single week if they wanted to, and it is earned. It wasn't given, just the same way that he took that Iron Buckeye status as a true freshman, the first one to ever do that last summer before he had ever been through an August training camp.
Before he ever played a game in Ohio State.
And when you mentioned something about Austin Siereveld, that when you have a bunch of really good players coming into your program, the way that you separate is the work ethic, what you get out of summer workouts, mat drills, all those other things, and improving your craft and your athleticism and size, strength, dedication to it. The fact that Jeremiah Smith is also seems to be the hardest worker on this team and is almost certainly the most naturally gifted, and one of the most naturally gifted athletes that we've ever seen or covered is pretty wild.
I think that coaching cliches are awesome. And cliches, stereotypes, all these things generally exist.
Oh, which one? That the best player needs to be your hardest worker?
When your hardest working player is your best player, you have a chance to do something really special. And it's not just Jeremiah Smith. It's Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs. It's both the best players on the team are the hardest working guys. And so I was having a conversation at camp on Wednesday or Tuesday at Ohio State, and Jeremiah was out there watching his brother Angelo, who got offered by the Buckeyes on Tuesday afternoon, believe it or not. And I was talking with former Ohio State defensive lineman Heath Queen, whose son Emmett was there working out as a quarterback. And he looked over and he saw Jeremiah. He's like, "Is that Jeremiah Smith?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "He's just out here with the normals?" And I was like, "Yeah." And it is shocking because it's not just that he's such a hard worker. He just has such an unassuming, humble approach about everything he does. And we generally lament when players get too big for their britches or they start to act different. If there's one guy who you could be like, I understand why he acts different, it would be Jeremiah Smith. And he just doesn't. He's just him. He's just who he is. And there's all these young kids out there camping and coming up and, can I get your autograph? Can I get this picture? Okay.
He did put some limits on the autographs.
Well, thankfully, otherwise the kid wouldn't be able to watch his brother work out or do anything.
Which I was impressed by. It was showing the maturity, which was, no, because I've seen this with professional athletes and other sports. It's like, don't know what you're going to do with this autograph. I'd like to talk to you and take a picture. It might last longer for you. And that's what he did in Sydney. He said, I can't sign out here. And he handled it really professionally. All these kids, there were kids I'll take a picture with you. All right, get in line.
Yeah,
get the phone.
If I was an 11th grader at a high school in Ohio right now, what would be more valuable?
Well, what would be more valuable? Jeremiah Smith's autograph.
To me, yeah, but not really. If you put it on a T-shirt or something, I remember like last year, spring student appreciation day, the spring practice.
In tangible currency,
Right.
It's the autograph. In terms of long-term memory.
But unless you have a helmet or a football for him to sign.
There have unfortunately been people showing up to camp with such things.
I recall very vividly last spring, the student appreciation day. This is before he played any game at Ohio State, even a spring game, where people wanted his autograph on a shirt and then asked me to put mine on there. I'm like, I'm not ruining your Jeremiah Smith autograph shirt, bud. Like, I'm sorry, this is going to be valuable down the road. But there's no way to authenticate it. The picture.
Oh, there is.
Is there?
Yeah.
They've. I don't know enough about authentication.
I know.
But
I'm trying to teach you.
But the bottom line for JJ is that he is real. Like, he is. It is so rare when a guy is everything that he's expected to be. And that's why when we go back to Marvin in February, calling him, or March, whatever, it's calling him the LeBron James of college football. Like, the thing that really resonates to me about Jeremiah Smith is that every expectation has been met or exceeded. Yeah. And that is like, it's almost impossible to believe it because the expectations were so ridiculous.
Yeah. I just don't even really know what that means for his second year at Ohio State. And it's the fact that there's been no complacency whatsoever. You know, Mickey Marotti's not going to just keep saying, well, you're Jeremiah Smith and you would have been the most valuable player in the transfer portal market and you have this deal and that deal. We got to keep you happy. That's not how it works once you get into the weight room. There's some element of managing the roster, of course, but he doesn't have to give him Iron Buckeye status, then give it to him again, and then say you've earned dude status, because everyone in that locker room would know if that wasn't true, if that wasn't earned, if that wasn't deserved, and then you create another fracture in your team that you have to deal with. So there has to be a level of honesty and transparency and authenticity into giving those out, or else what's the point? We ran into that for Ohio State, I think, 7-8 years ago when there were 8 captains and 9 captains and everyone was grading out a champion in games. That's not a sustainable model. That's not what, if truth and honesty is supposed to be the foundation of this program and tough love, like there wasn't enough of it at one point.
And at the risk of opening a can of worms, I think that's why, like, Julian Saint hasn't been named the starting quarterback at Ohio State yet, right? Because we all presume that, and everybody coming into spring, coming out of spring, the conversation hasn't changed. It's, well, we're pretty sure it'll be Julian. I mean, we think. he's got the recruiting accolades, he's got all this, all the people chirp about him. But then, like, if you go ahead and say, well, this is our quarterback, and the team doesn't buy it, and the team still is like, really? Because that doesn't match up to what we've seen, then all of a sudden things get a little bit wonky. And I mean, it is imperative that players like Jeremiah Smith, and this is what another thing that make players like him and Caleb Down special, like, they don't want to be given things. Yeah. Like, they have been told how great they are their whole lives, and every day they go out and prove it and earn it. And it is rare, but that's why a guy like Mick Marotti, I think, is probably someone that Jeremiah's like, yes, I get to, because he knows Mick's not going to kiss his butt. Yeah.
You know who else doesn't take days off?
The U.S. Postal Service.
Cows
don't take days off, yes.
The Postal Service actually does. They don't work on Sundays. So a good guess.
Really? I get that. Informed delivery on Sundays still.
They bring something to your house?
Occasionally. They'll be like, something's coming, but then it's from like UPS and the Postal Service is just delivering it for them. Huh. Okay. Cows don't take days off. That was the famed words of our...
You've already forgotten?
Of our one-time great
your former muse.
Guest, Garrett Stove. The cows don't take days off. He just actually got his first 5,000 cattle delivered to his new farm.
Good for him.
He built, or that he bought.
Head of cattle.
That he bought up near Lexington, where he's from. I'm surprised. He actually bought a farm here and had... I believe it's 5,000. It could have been 500. I don't know. 5,000 feels like a lot of cattle.
This is good stuff.
But he lives in Houston.
Well, not all year. When you're an NFL athlete, you can still live wherever you want.
Why wouldn't you have Texas cattle delivered to a farm that you own in Texas instead of... And which makes me wonder, is Cade attempting to horn in on the Stover Farms business and compete against his father? That's a totally different conversation for a different show.
I don't have the answer to that, but his cousin Birm.
Oh, Garrett.
He's a dude of the week.
Not surprising. The Stovers are dudes. They're all dudes. There's been multiple other Stovers at camp at Ohio State in this last 3 weeks. Different cousins, and they're all dudes. They're just dudes. And if you look at Garrett, he's huge.
He sure is.
And he's still running. I mean, I think last year, early summer, he was one of the guys that was like 23.2 miles an hour.
Yeah.
There was Jeremiah Smith, and then there was Garrett Stover on the fastest players on the Ohio State team. And Garrett missed a lot of time in the spring, was not healthy. He's had some shoulder issues, and then he just keeps working. And those Stover boys do not stop working.
Do you think? I'm trying to remember back to linebacker rewind, review, preview.
He did not get talked about.
We didn't really talk about him, and I don't know that I would put him in that same boat of Bryson Rogers, Aaron Scott with something to prove because of the injuries in the spring, because you have Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese pretty entrenched, and he can compare himself. It feels like Peyton Pierce is ahead at this point, and I don't think he might take that as motivation, but not necessarily.
He wouldn't take umbrage with it.
He wouldn't take it personally.
I think he recognizes it.
Yeah, and that's an honest evaluation, and that's again the value of tough love and James Laurinaitis setting things out pretty clearly. But if we had a tendency then to shift and jump to look at these true freshmen, my goodness, they look like they're 23 years old, and they do. Riley Pettijohn and TJ Alford look phenomenal. So does Garrett Stover.
Yeah.
And now that he's healthy and able to go through these workouts, clearly he is getting attention of the strength staff, of the coaching staff. So that's not nothing.
No, but what he has more importantly than attention and accolades is perspective. He watched Cade, who is, again, his biological brother, if we're really breaking it down. That's the genetical side of things. I just made up that word, genetical. The genetical side of things, they're basically brothers. He watched Cade's career, from 30 miles away in Sunbury, a big Walnut high school. And, you cannot watch Cade's career and see the ups and downs and the circuitous route Cade had to take to not just playing at Ohio State, but playing a position. Mm-hmm. And Garrett was a safety in high school. He knew he was going to be a linebacker in college. He's put on the weight. He looks great. He's still as physically athletic and freaky and talented as but it takes time. And James Laurinaitis is not taking it easy on him just because he's a Stover. He's not taking it easy on him because he was hurt. There's a lot of opportunity here, and in a player like him, I think, is someone that we're not going to ever talk about until he's on the field because the recruiting expectations were not there. He was like, oh, he's just over. He got an offer. He's going to Ohio State. Yeah. No big deal. But again, going back to the Austin Siereveld conversation, that's the type of player you have to build a program with. You can't. The Jeremiah Smiths of the world are great, but they are very, very few and far between. The Garrett Stovers of the world are not. And that's not a knock on him. Now his work ethic is.
That's where you separate.
Right. That's where he's different. That's how you earn dude of the week status. But when you're talking about a 6'2", 225-pound linebacker in the middle of Ohio, there's 40,000 of those. So there's not the Jeremiah Smiths of the world. So, but because they're so rare, the Smiths and Downs of the world, the Garrett Stovers are who you have to pick correctly. You cannot miss on the mental side of those kids. So there's plenty of great athletes playing linebacker in Ohio, but to pick one that says, well, he's going to be kicked on, he's going to be kicked, he's going to be knocked down, he's going to be spit on, he's never going to care. He's going to wake up, he's going to work super hard, and he's going to be a great teammate, and that's what Garrett is.
40,000 Ohio linebackers and 5,000 Texas cattle.
I think it's 5,000. I don't know enough about cattle farming.
I don't know if either of those numbers are
correct.
But
I do know it's called heads of cattle. Because I saw
head of cattle.
Because I saw Cade's Instagram post where he was letting them into his farm. It had to have been 500. Because 5,000 seems like a ton.
It's
especially for a first-time farm owner who only there half-time.
It would be 10,000 tons.
Remember, go to stoverfarms.com if you're in Ohio. And some of the best beef you can get in the Midwest, just as a personal note.
It's Midwest beef, born in Texas.
Hell yeah. Love that.
Imported. I don't know what else to say about that. But
do you think that there should be some sort of outward parameter detailed for what it takes to be a dude of the week?
Well, I think that we will make our request to speak with Mickey Marotti because we haven't had the post-spring coaching staff day. It's been teased, it's been toyed with. Normally that's the one time a year that we get Mick outside of the college football playoff availability days, but the best we can do.
The coaches are so busy.
They're about to all leave for vacation on probably Sunday night, maybe Monday morning if they're feeling a little sluggish.
Yeah.
So that's all coming. We'll detail why as Birm gets into the official visit weekend. That'll be on Friday's version of the beat.
If you're looking for a snippet, a touch, a skosh, a little bit of recruiting stuff, the Snap Judgments from Tuesday afternoon is about 22 minutes full of recruiting stuff from last weekend and from Tuesday. So dive into that too.
That was just the Birm Show, and I was standing to the side. This was more of an Austin Birm Show on
More
the beat.
Austin. There was 2 Austins and only 1 Birm. So technically, you all.
Wow, we really did. We took over. Congrats
Austin.
to the Austins on this show. And thanks to Austin Siereveld for joining us on the beat to make it Austin, and Birm. That's
the
tabs. Have a great Wednesday. He's Birm. I'm Austin. We'll see you later.